Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Cover 2 podcast. I'm Jared Smith.
And I'm Nenad.
And after a week off, Nick was in Chicago last week, but it was actually perfect because we had a chance to get ready for NFL Week 1. I was able to watch a lot of the games. I know you were as well,
absolutely.
Nick.
Yeah.
My team ended up winning in pretty easy fashion, while the Cardinals tied Week 1
of course we tied
against the Detroit Lions. We have a lot of storylines to get into today, and as well as the Antonio Brown saga, as there just continues to be more and more drama, even though he is no longer with the Oakland Raiders. For those of you who don't know, who've been living underneath a rock, he is now with the New England Patriots. He signed a one-year deal with him after he was released with the Oakland Raiders, and everyone was thinking, okay, he's now with the Patriots. This is the Patriots way. They don't put up with any BS, right? It's just going to be strictly football, on to the next opponent. And now there are new allegations that Antonio Brown sexually assaulted his former trainer. Just very stunning news. Antonio Brown and his agent Drew Rosenhaus have came out and publicly said that these reports are false and they are not true, but still just another negative that is hanging over Antonio Brown's head. So I want to jump into this immediately and get your thoughts on this entire situation now that he is a New England Patriot.
I mean, I thought we could have avoided the Antonio Brown news today too, because we had missed that week. We missed the whole, obviously, the Mayock fight and the punting of the football and the release and all that stuff. And then we get this news yesterday that obviously has nothing to do with football or the Raiders or the Patriots. And we're not going to dive into the litigation of it, and we're not going to accuse Antonio Brown. But wow, the news just does not stop with this dude. And it disappoints me because, I was excited for this show to talk about Week 1.
You mean actually talk about some football?
Yeah, actually talk about the football side of football.
Oh my gosh.
And we unfortunately could not avoid Antonio Brown. So what we want to do is we just want to give our opinions. What is going on, Jared? What is going on with Antonio Brown? Why does it seem like this guy, whether he's trying to do it on purpose, it cannot stay out of trouble? Why did all this stuff happen with the Raiders? And what will happen next, to be honest?
It's very interesting that, the whole timeline of this sexual or alleged sexual assault, I think comes into question because when is she accusing of Antonio Brown of
I heard
sexually
it was
assaulting her?
Year.
Last year.
Yeah, I heard it was last year.
Okay, and it is now just coming out now.
Of course.
So there's a lot of different dynamics to this, and there's still so much information that needs to come.
Oh, yeah, this happened last night.
There's so many questions that need to be asked. Everything is so fresh. So right now, all we are trying to let you know is that Antonio Brown is being alleged of sexual assault against his former trainer, and that she's now coming out. She said publicly that she is willing to speak with the NFL as soon as possible, and that she is actually getting married this weekend. So as early as next week, she would like to sit down with, I'm assuming, Commissioner Roger Goodell and the rest of the NFL representatives and tell her side of the story and begin this process. So even though Antonio Brown will be on the practice field today as of Wednesday with his new team, things aren't necessarily looking good. His Week 2 status for playing against the Dolphins this week is definitely up in the air. And now you add these allegations and I don't know. I mean, how can you focus on football right now when you have those allegations thrown against you?
Yeah, I mean, and we're going to talk about the Patriots in a second. This is probably the one team that will not put up with any of this, too. And it's literally the day after he signed with the team. This is crazy. Jared, we've literally had news about this guy, I swear, for almost a full week now. Every single day there's something different. Whether it's him not reporting to camp, it's him fighting with the GM of the Raiders.
Right.
Then he gets released. I mean, I'll tell a little story. This is a bit how crazy this is, and this is why I kind of was hoping that all this would end and we could just talk about the recap of the whole thing. I'm trying to think exactly what day it was. I think it was Friday. Friday night, I was hanging out with a Raiders fan, and we were talking late Friday night about, because AB had released that phone call which was ridiculous, and I heard that was illegal.
Which John
too.
Gruden actually gave him permission to do.
Okay, so
So that was, cleared up.
Okay.
And that was because originally it was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then John Gruden
Well, because
said,
in the state of California, you can't record phone calls, so that's why it was like, so he
unless
said,
you get permission.
Yeah, I guess. But so Friday night, I literally had a discussion with a Raiders fan, explaining to him. We were like, isn't it good? He's finally with the team. It's going to be great. Like, it's cool that he's finally bought in and that Gruden cares and all this stuff. Literally, Jared, the next morning, I wake up to one of his roommates watching NFL Network, and it says Antonio Brown released by the Raiders, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done.
That's how I woke up Saturday morning. I woke up Saturday morning
Yeah.
to Antonio Brown potentially being released. Adam Schefter of ESPN was one of the first to report it, of course. And then a few hours later, he was released. And a few hours later, he was with the New England Patriots. Just a crazy turn of events. And a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, this reminds me of Terrell Owens when he was in the league and all of his drama. I'm sorry. Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, none of these other quote-unquote divas of the NFL, I feel like, have ever gone this far or done so many negative antics, right? And there's many people that are saying Antonio Brown wanted all of this to happen, that from the moment he was traded to the Raiders, he was trying to get himself out of that situation. So whatever you want to believe or not believe, the facts are Antonio Brown is currently in New England. He is currently practicing on the field with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and he's getting himself ready for Week 1. The question is, will he be able to, the other thing that a lot of people are talking about is, yes, Antonio Brown is a great player, but he also needs to learn the Patriots offense. And because the Patriots offense is so in-depth, every week they are changing plays. And so it's not like he can just walk in here and say, oh, I'm going to play 50, 60 snaps a game, right? So for people expecting Antonio Brown to sit here and go off, albeit against a very bad team in the Dolphins this upcoming week, I think people need to pump their expectations and just say, wow, with all these allegations, for Antonio Brown just to make it on the active roster on Sunday and to suit up, I think would be a win for him.
It'd be incredible, and they're gonna win that game Sunday against Miami. By the way, I just want to shout something out. We have comments coming through our Facebook page. The thing about Alex, I'll just shout you out right now. He just made a comment about OBJ. Hold my beer, let me wear a watch. I was literally thinking of the same exact thing, where Odell Beckham Jr., we could get into this later, wore a watch to a game that was well over
a $189,000 watch, to be exact.
These guys are ridiculous, man. This whole week has been crazy with football, and so were the games. And we're sitting here again, starting a podcast, talking about a guy that literally, kicked the ball in practice.
Let's jump into this Odell Beckham Jr. situation. Obviously, the Browns disappointed against the Titans at home, right? Baker Mayfield threw 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter, and this team completely tanked. And instead of the focus being on how are the Browns going to improve on the football field as they travel to New York to play the Jets this upcoming Monday night, all of the drama and news headlines have circled around Odell Beckham Jr.'s wrist and the fact that he wore a watch to a game. Now, the NFL and their protocol, it is against policy to wear a hard watch.
Oh, it is?
Right, right. Well, listen, guys wear bands, or not rubber bands, but they wear bands and other types of jewelry.
Big on his wrist, though.
But it was, and the fact
that like a flying forearm.
You're in a scuffle and you give a little nudge or something like that. And it's like, that's $189,000. You want to get that thing messed up? I mean, now listen. Maybe $189,000 isn't a lot of money to Antonio Brown. Maybe he's got like 10 or 20, and that's his game watch, and he has other ones at home. But still, is there anything to this? I mean, it's a watch.
I mean,
no one got injured.
Here's what's like, because the Browns, they talked a lot of trash in the offseason, right?
Was it the Browns or was it the media?
I mean,
I don't remember hearing a lot of Browns
You make a good
players.
point, but Baker Mayfield made it seem like they were going to go 16-0 before the season, whether he was replying to the media or not. And then they go out, and the Titans are a good team. They're not a great team, but they beat the crap out of the Browns. I mean, I watched that game intently because I wanted to see, how's it, because we hadn't seen Odell the whole preseason, so I wanted to see how Odell would fit. I wanted to see how Landry would fit in his new scheme. I wanted to see how Baker would improve his second year. And what I saw with that game was flying kicks to the face, multiple fights, multiple Titans touchdowns, Odell Beckham Jr. wearing a watch, Baker Mayfield throwing interceptions. And it was the exact opposite of what I expected from that team. I guess maybe the fights, not necessarily, but I mean, here's the one thing about the watch you bring up, and all this other stuff, these guys kicking people in the face and stuff like that after plays.
That has nothing to do with actual football.
Yeah, but the problem is, do we really think that's just going to stop in week 2?
Oh, he's already said that he would like to continue wearing that watch.
I'm just saying, all of it, the whole team. Like, is Baker Mayfield really going to just all of a sudden turn into Drew Brees? Probably not. Is Odell Beckham Jr. going to calm down his antics? Has he ever? No, he never has. Are these guys going to stop fighting? Probably not, because it's already in their heads that that's the way you got to play. So I think if you're a Browns fan, you should be severely concerned at the just temperament of this team. That a guy, thinks that wearing a watch is more important than winning, and losing by 30 is okay. And that if a guy knocks you down after a play, you can kick him in the mouth. If Delaney Walker and all these other guys are literally antagonizing these guys into punching them, and then they punch him and they're literally laughing and waving at the ref. It's juvenile. It's like high school football. Exactly. So I think if you're a Browns fan, you should be severely concerned that a team like the Ravens won by 49, albeit they beat the worst team in the league, but that they look a lot better than last year. The Steelers didn't look good, but we know they're talented. And even the Bengals looked somewhat formidable.
They put a very good fight.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to end up with a good record, but they still will compete. So I think if you're a Browns fan, you're the Browns organization, you really should look at changing the culture. Because after one game, it looks like the worst culture in the NFL. And it's just 18 penalties, 6 personal fouls, which I've never heard of, besides maybe a giant brawl happening in a game. So I think if you're the Browns, you're Odell Beckham Jr., you're Baker Mayfield, and you're Freddie Kitchens, you really need to have like a meeting and go, guys, what the hell are we doing? Right? Odell, take the watch off. Let's enough with the fights. Baker, focus on the game. Right? Let's fix it.
Well,
or they're going to end up 6-10.
I'll tell you what. I think they have a great opportunity on Monday night, like I mentioned, in New York against a very stout Jets defense.
Yeah, sure.
To come out and prove that week 1 was a fluke. Right? Now, like you mentioned, Tennessee is a very mid-level average team. They do have a good defense, but Tennessee always plays very tough. They're never going to just give up. Right? So the Browns have a good opportunity to come back and say, okay, that was, that's not who we are. This is the real team right now. I do want to keep in mind, Odell Beckham Jr. is not 100%. He's still dealing with a hip injury, and that's why he missed all the preseason. So this is really the first time. Right, this is the first time in close to a year that Antonio Brown has been on the field Odell has been on the field for a regular season game. So I'm actually very excited to see this game on Monday night. Last year, these two teams matched up. I believe it was early on in the season in September on Thursday night, and that was when Baker Mayfield came into the game for an injured Tyrod Taylor and got his first playing action of the season. So these are two young teams. The Jets are obviously coming off a disappointing loss against the Bills.
Two teams that are going to be proving a lot because
the
Jets
completely but that's what I'm saying. So for the Browns to come in and think that they can just kind of walk over the Jets, with a healthy and rejuvenated Le'Veon Bell, like I mentioned, the Jets defense is very good, and they're going to be pissed off after they gave up a win to the Bills. So this is not going to be a cakewalk, and we're really going to see, I think, what this Browns team is made of, right? Can they come back and deal with, how are they going to handle adversity? Are they going to come back and strike someone in the mouth, or are they going to get punched in the mouth again? Because I think this game will really tell what this Browns team will be for the 2019 season.
Yeah, what I don't want to hear from the Browns is that Odell went out to the clubs in New York before the game and all that stuff. And I just want, it needs to be about football, right? We're starting this podcast talking about a lot of non-football stuff. Now, these penalties in the games and stuff will obviously happen during the games, but, it's concerning that we're starting a podcast talking about multiple different teams and multiple different players and issues that happen on and off the field instead of certain tactics of game plan and stuff like that. So I would just like to see all that. Obviously, some of that is fun to watch, but I've almost had enough of like the Antonio Brown stuff and the BS behind the NFL, and let's just get back to football. A lot of these games were really, really good, and we're going to run out of time today. We're not going to be able to talk about everything because we had to talk about this stupid stuff in the beginning. Just to bookend the we both keep mixing both of them up. To bookend the AB stuff, the Patriots looked really, really, really good, like almost unstoppable against the Steelers. Do we think Antonio Brown joining this team, joining this culture, could possibly throw a wrench in this, or are they going to become the Golden State Warriors and just dominate the entire league?
Oh, it's 50-50. You can go either way. We've seen...
Really, we don't know, because we don't even know what AB is going to do every day.
We've seen that he can throw a wrench into a team because he did that with the Oakland Raiders all offseason.
And the Steelers.
And the Steelers, and throughout Hard Knocks this year. We were able to get an in-depth look at the entire Raiders organization and what was really going on with Antonio Brown. So, yes, listen, the Patriots' way is so solid and so tight-knit that I think if for one instance Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft think that Antonio Brown is going to be a distraction or he becomes a distraction, I think he'll be gone. His contract is very, very easy to get out of. It is only for 1 year. They gave him a second-year option, but that keyword option means that the Patriots have the option to either keep him or say bye-bye, sayonara. So this is really about Antonio Brown, and it's all up to him. If he wants to buy into the Patriots way and get off social media and focus on football, now that his feet are healthy, now that he's found a helmet that he likes, and now that he's in a better situation with Tom Brady potentially throwing him passes as opposed to Derek Carr, we will see if Antonio Brown wants to play football or if he wants to continue to be a knucklehead and stay in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. So this is completely up to him. The Patriots have said, here's $9 million signing bonus. Here's the team that we have. We're coming off a Super Bowl. We just whooped the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night, and we're about to play one of the worst teams in the league in the Miami Dolphins. This is a great opportunity for Antonio Brown to come in, get himself acclimated with the team, and show that he can be a team player and get back to playing football. So I hope that's what happens. But to answer your question, it is literally down the middle.
I don't know what to expect with it. I mean, he's not even wearing the number we expected. Practicing with
listen. Practice. I'm not going to make a big deal
report saying he's wearing number 1 during practice.
They probably They probably don't have 84 or something like that. Who knows? There's a lot of guys in practice that wear random different numbers. So I'm gonna pump the brakes on that one. 100%. It's just every little thing that Antonio Brown does. This is coming to you live. And the reason, by the way, if you keep seeing me look at my computer, it's because I want to keep refreshing my computer just in case something else happens. You never know with this guy. I just pulled up something that said Brown. He is practicing, like you mentioned, with the Patriots today. Yes.
He's wearing number 1 practice jersey. And they asked Bill Belichick about all this stuff, and he just said, "We're working on Miami."
Well, of course. What is Bill Belichick supposed to say?
Well, of course, yeah. No, there really is nothing. No. I wouldn't expect anything else. But we'll see. It is now at this point. We'll see what happens with his accuser and the NFL when they meet and stuff like that. But I fully expect him to be on the field in Miami. Isn't it interesting though, Jared? Before we get to kind of the pretenders and all that stuff, and we get to the rest of the teams in the league,
and we get to some actual football.
Yeah, that Odell Beckham Jr. His where he makes a mistake and he now needs to prove himself in his old stomping grounds in New York. Antonio Brown's first game is literally in his hometown, Miami. So you have all those other little factors just to throw a wrench in there.
Interesting dynamics.
You gotta love the NFL and how that stuff works out.